He asked me 1 or 2 questions about the school, and then asked me for the root word of the word intifada. And I then went on to say to him, as a reporter, you should have done your homework on this. And his response to me was, yes, I did, and I found many definitions for the word, but wanted to have a better understanding of where this word originated from, its root word. And I, as an educator, simply responded and said to him that it comes from the root word of the word infud in Arabic, which is shake off. However, this word has evolved and developed a negative connotation based on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict where thousands of people have died. He then simply said, okay, well, thank you. This was really good. And shortly afterward, we hung up. And within the interview, I had also reinstated that I am someone who does not believe in violence and condemn all violence, any shape, way, or form. The person from the press office who was on the phone, reiterated that. She had no issue of my engaging with him in the conversation about the root word of the word intifada. She saw that I was an educator and doing what educators do. I did not provide my political opinion or my views. I simply did what educators do, and that is to provide multiple perspectives on an issue to help people critically make their own decisions.
And you sued the New York Post, correct?
No, I did not.
Oh.
We're going to come back to this discussion. I also want to ask about the role of the mayor in forcing you to resign, and also what this Board of Education ruling means by the federal EEOC. And I'd like to ask your lawyer about that as well. Debbie Almontaser, founding principal of the Khalil Gibran International Academy, forced out by the city of New York. This is Democracy Now! We'll be back with her and her lawyer in a minute. Waltz for Coop here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Sharif Abdel-Qaddous, our guest, Debbie Almontaser, founding principal of the Khalil Gibran Academy, and Alan Levine, her attorney. Very significant ruling came down last week from the federal government, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, saying that she was unjustly dealt with by the Board of Education in New York when they forced her out of her position as principal of the Khalil Gibran International Academy. It hadn't even opened yet, is that right?
That's right, it hadn't opened yet. 3 weeks prior to opening, the firestorm took place.
Where did Mayor Bloomberg fit into this story?
He was the ultimate decision maker that I be removed.
Had you met him before?
I knew him very well. I knew him very well through my work with city government officials, the Immigrant Affairs Office, the Community Affairs Office, the whole thing with the Arab Heritage inauguration. Every year there was a breakfast at Gracie Mansion, which we were at. In fact, the first Arab Heritage Week, he recognized me for my efforts in building bridges between the diverse communities of New York City.
So did you get word directly from him that you were to leave?
I was given direct words from him through other people. He sent the president of New Visions to first speak to me. And then I said, well, I need to hear this from my employer, Chancellor Klein. And the president of New Visions contacted the Department of Education. He was not made available, and I was then met with actually Deputy Mayor Dennis Walcott, who basically made it crystal clear that this was a mayor's directive.
And Alan Levine, you're Debbie's lawyer. What is the significance of this ruling by the EEOC?
Well, the popular conception about all this was that Debbie was the victim of a smear campaign, and she's described that smear campaign. But she was really the victim of the Department of Education. The bigots in the community had no power to fire. The Department of Education did. They succumbed to the bigots. So that's a significance. They've said all along that we didn't. The other significant thing is that she voluntarily resigned. She fell on the sword for the Department of Education to save the school. What Dennis Walcott told her, and the head of New Visions told her, is, Debbie, if you don't resign, the school isn't going to open. So though they didn't discharge her, what the EEOC said is they constructively discharged her. They gave her no choice. If she didn't resign, her school would close. She couldn't do that to the community. She couldn't do that to the parents, to the students. So she resigned. But she was forced to resign. And it's really important because to know that it's the DOE that really did her in. The DOE knew what the facts were. They knew Debbie's record. Here's a story that appears that associates with her with violence in the Middle East. They know very well that she's had a lifetime of commitment to nonviolence, to reconciliation between Jewish and Muslim and Christian communities. They could have made this go away in a day. They could have said, this is all nonsense. We know what her record is. The allegations have no basis. Let's move on. They refuse to do that.
And what are you calling for right now?
At this point, we're hoping that the DOE will take the EEOC at its suggestion that we ought to sit down and come to a just resolution. So far, they're being rather adamant in refusing to do that, but it's only a couple of days later. If they don't, then we'll bring a lawsuit.
Let me ask you about what Paul Marks had to say, that quote we read in the introduction. He is with the New York Law Department, New York City Law Department. He said the Department of Education in no way discriminated against Ms. Almontaser, and she will not be reinstated if she continues to pursue litigation. We will vigorously defend against her groundless allegations.
They say they didn't discriminate. The EEOC, which has no axe to grind, is the country's premier agency with regard to employment discrimination claims, says that they did discriminate. I'll go with the EEOC. I'm confident that a judge or jury will.
And Debbie Almontaser, explain who Khalil Gibran is. The school is named after him.
Khalil Gibran is a philosopher and author who is of Arab American descent, specifically Lebanese American, who came to the United States and lived in New York City and wrote both in Arabic and English, and is very well known and respected for his book called The Prophet. And so he is someone who is not only revered by Arab Americans, but also the broader American public and worldwide for his philosophical writing.
And how has the school been doing?
I really don't have any information on that, just what I've been able to hear in the press. It's had some, rough times, and it's had some okay times based on what I've heard in the press.
Who is the principal now?
The principal now is Holly Reichert.
And where did she come from?
She was an employee at New Visions.
Do you hope to be principal of the Khalil Gibran Academy someday?
Absolutely. It's my life dream, Amy, to have the opportunity to lead a school that I created with the help of others to establish an institution that would set precedents in helping building bridges of understanding, and certainly creating young people who will be global thinkers and, competing in the 21st century workforce. And so I'm still committed to that dream.
And what have you been doing over the last 3 years? Do you feel you were irreparably harmed by what took place?
Absolutely. I have suffered quite immensely in terms emotionally, and I certainly believe that, there needs to be, at the end of this, at the end of the rainbow, there will be something positive. And so what I've been doing the past few years, I've worked at central headquarters at the Department of Education, and more recently, I lost my principal assigned position and have reverted back to a teacher line. So I've actually suffered, financially based on this. So I'm presently working at a Brooklyn high school as their special education coordinator.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Debbie Almontaser, the founding principal of the Khalil Gibran International Academy, and Alan Levine, her attorney. We will certainly continue to follow this case after the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission ruled that she was unfairly dealt with by the New York Board of Education.